Hello everyone, here is my e-invoicing roundup for October 2025. Let's kick off with what's happening in Belgium. So Belgium, as you will know, goes live on the 1st of January 2026 with a big bang approach to electronic invoicing. It's kicking off with a 4-corner model, moving to a 5-corner model in 2028 when it will introduce e-reporting. And it is indeed a big bang, which means all taxpayers need to be ready to do electronic invoicing from the 1st of January 2026. Now, this is only 77 days away. And the slightly worrying thing is, and some news came out about this recently at a conference that took place in late September, is that as of about 3 weeks ago, only 34% of VAT-registered companies had actually registered for electronic invoicing, which means that 66% of companies a couple of 3 weeks ago, were not actually ready for electronic invoicing. Countdown is 77 days away. So it does mean, I imagine that the 66%'s dropped down to maybe high 50%. But let's just say well over 50% of companies in Belgium are not ready for the electronic invoicing start date. The Belgian authority has made it super clear that we're not going in with a soft landing here. Penalties will be applied right from the get-go, and these are not insignificant penalties. So these are penalties that affect your first non-compliant invoice, and then your second, it gets bigger, and your third, the fine gets even bigger, and we're talking about thousands of euros here. So look out make sure that you are ready to go live on the 1st of January 2026 in Belgium. Let's turn our attention to France. Now, France goes live in September 2026. There have been a few delays with France, but I think the French government is now very much looking at September 2026 as the definite, not movable e-invoicing go live date. France is keeping service providers very busy with lots of enhancements coming out and lots of requirements. An announcement that's come out quite recently is regarding its directory. So this is a great thing. So it's a directory where companies that are doing electronic invoicing, which obviously in this time next year will be all tax registered VAT registered companies, can look up and see what the situation is regarding their suppliers and their buyers, and see what Platforme Agréée they might be using, and also to have a look and see what their kind of structured invoice address is for receiving an electronic invoice. So that directory also helps. Let's touch on Angola. Now, Angola has postponed its start date. It was due to go live with electronic invoicing in 2025, so September 2025. It's pushed back its start date, and it's now shifted into a bit more of a soft landing approach. So phase 1 taxpayers will go live, really be ready to go live between October the 1st, 2025 and December 31st, but must be live for 1st of January 2026. So this affects the first tranche of taxpayers, which are companies with a turnover of quite a low threshold. It's about 23,500 euros, 25 million Angolan kwanzas. The deadline for all in Angola is September 2026. Now let's move to Ireland. Ireland has recently announced that it will be doing electronic invoicing, and the date for the first phase of companies, taxpayers, will be November 2028. It's looking for taxpayers to be live with electronic invoicing and e-reporting. It will be using the EU standard, so EN 16931, and it will be using PEPL. Ireland is already a PEPL authority. It's been a PEPL authority since 2018, largely because it's been doing electronic invoicing in the public sector organisations, departments since 2018. So let's move on to another country. So let's look at Poland. So Poland goes live February 1st, 2026 with its KSeF platform. It's just launched its KSeF 2.0 API testing environment, which is great for service providers so that they can do lots of testing, make sure that they're comfortable with how the platform works. So that means that the KSeF 1.0 test environment is now officially shut down. Also, companies can apply for, so these are taxpayer companies, so the actual businesses can apply for invoice issuer certificates as of next month, and this is important for taxpayers when they want to be issuing invoices during periods where the KSeF platform might be having some downtime, or when the taxpayers are offline. Let's move on to Oman. So Oman has updated its Fortawa e-invoicing portal. It's been showcasing some of the advancements of its e-invoicing portal. It has a pilot phase of in August 2026, scheduled for August 2026 with 100 taxpayers. It's looking for a full implementation August 2028. The next month it's looking to publish technical specifications, and also then in December some standards for service providers. So this will help the service providers get ready for the pilot. It's adopting a 5-corner model. So Oman is looking like it's really getting ahead of its mandate and preparing nicely. Let's have a look at the UAE. So it's announced a few things. It goes live 2026, but it's announced a few things in the past few weeks regarding scope. So invoices and scope will be B2B, B2G, B2C is paused for the time being. Some obligations. So taxpayers must use accredited service providers in the UAE, and also timeline. So there's a pilot in July 2026, but then moving to a phased rollout from January 2027. So let's now talk about Bolivia. Bolivia has extended its e-invoicing deadline, so it's delaying a wave. Now, Bolivia really has been a phased implementation, so it's had about 12 groups, 12 categories of taxpayers. The first few groups came online in 2021, and groups 1 through to 8, or waves 1 through to 8, are now already live. What's now being delayed is waves 9 through 12. So the waves 9 through 12 was due to come online in September, and it's being delayed now. October. October 1st. It's being delayed now to April 1st. This affects about 28,000, or just shy of 28,000 companies who are tax registered there. So that's it from a kind of a specific country perspective. Now, I mean, let's zero in on Peppol just for a moment. So let's focus on what's happened with Peppol in Taiwan. So you'll know that Peppol is there are a number of Peppol authorities globally. There are about just over 20 Peppol authorities globally. So this is where governments have become a Peppol authority, and that's great because it means that these governments have an element of control over how they might use Peppol, and how service providers might engage with Peppol, and how companies, taxpayers might engage with Peppol within their own country. So Taiwan has now officially joined Peppol and become an official Peppol authority. So that's a development for Peppol. And also Peppol news is that Open Peppol, so the governing body that oversees Peppol internationally and globally, they've released the EU PINT billing version 1.0.0 specification. Now, this specification is optional for immediate use for companies in the EU to send invoices cross-border to companies in countries that already use PINT. So these would be companies in countries like Japan, Malaysia, Australia, Singapore, and New Zealand, for example. So it does not replace PEPL Biz 3 billing standard. It can be used in addition. And I think it's just something to look out for. I think the general view on PINT is that it might be more accommodating. It's good for cross-border invoices and obviously domestic. And maybe PINT might be something that is has a bigger role to play in the future. We will conclude with some service provider news. So let's start with, it's all good news. Let's start with some news that's come out of Avalara. So Avalara has announced that it's released a free e-invoicing solution in the US, and this is great news. Now, the US does not mandate electronic invoicing, has no timelines published concerning its roadmap for electronic invoicing. It's being a little bit quiet regarding what it was going to do with electronic invoicing. So for Avalara to come along and say that it's launching a free e-invoicing solution in the US for US domestic transactions, B2B transactions, electronic invoices, and for credit notes, this is great news. It's really going to encourage the adoption of e-invoicing. It's working quite closely with the DBNA, which is a North American organisation that is promoting the adoption of electronic invoicing and also campaigning as kind of stakeholders over there. Potentially as well, DBNA might become a slightly more an organisation that has a bit more of a global profile. It recently has gone into a programme with a government agency in New Zealand. So we might see more from the DBNA. However, back to the Avalara news, very exciting. And if you're based in the US, you can use this solution free of charge, and you use it by connecting through your ERP, through connectors, and through the Avalara API tool as well. So finally, two more pieces of news. Thomson Reuters, they have their one source solution, their tax solution, and they also have their Pagero e-invoicing network, and they've integrated the one source solution with Workday. So that means that if you use Workday, and this is great for organisations in the mid-market. Workday is very popular with a mid-market base. About 75% of Workday customers have less than or fewer than 3,500 employees. So is used by larger organisations, but super popular with the mid-market. And it now seems that Workday and Thomson Reuters have an integrated solution. So you should be able to just go ahead and use Workday to create your electronic invoice compliantly. And finally, Gina is very much a recognised leading organisation globally that helps with electronic invoicing standards and just general kind of collaboration amongst all the kind of key actors, if you will, in e-invoicing and e-reporting. A gentleman has been working on the Gina working groups for quite some time. He is Christian van der Valk. He's a leading figure in the world of e-invoicing and is now an executive at Sovos, has been there for quite some time. He's been working on a Gina working group for about 11 years, and he has just been promoted to chairman of Gina. So congratulations to Christian. Exciting development. And that's it from me for now. And best of luck with all your e-invoicing programs and initiatives. Feel very free to go to sharedserviceslink.com to find out more about what's happening in this space. And if there's any information that you'd like to go ahead and download, you're very welcome to. I look forward to seeing you next time. All the best for now.